You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Rankin, Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. My name is Delores Dupree, section president, and joining me is our first vice president, Alecia Gibbs. We have with us today a special guest, Ms. Lois Toni McClendon. We thank all of you who have joined us in the past, and we hope you will join us again today. And you can call us at 412-231-2288 to speak with our special guest. But before we have you speak with her, we're going to have Alecia read her bio. So Alecia, can you please read her bio?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Good evening. Lois Toni McClendon is a longtime peace and social activist. She says she gets her activist genes from both her maternal and paternal heartlines. Toni firmly believes in rights and dignity for all creation. She has many years of employment in social services, community education, and nonprofit community-based programming. One of her most cherished accomplishments was serving as coordinator for communities in Action for Peace, where she facilitated the Peace Bus program, which traveled to summer lunch sites throughout Allegheny County. She also developed and managed peace camps in 3 Allegheny County housing communities. She is the founder of Rainbow Village Connections, which offers Uma's Porch for storytelling programs, Interplay for people of all ages and abilities, and peace building through workshops and healing circles. She is a certified leader with Interplay. She is an instructor with Saturday Children's Programming of the Legacy Arts Project, which provides creative activities such as movement, storytelling, poetry, and music making. She is one of the founders of New Voices Pittsburgh, Women of Color for Reproductive Justice, and currently serves on the Advisory Council. Toni has been a peace and social activist for over 40 years, and she brings people together through culture, creativity, and spirituality. Her motto is building bridges to understanding. Toni believes strongly in the African principle of Sankofa, using the lessons of the past to constructively build for the future. Welcome to the program, Ms. McClendon.
Thank you.
We appreciate you taking out time to share your talents with our viewing audience. This program tonight supports at least 2 of our national initiatives. 1, to increase good health and educate women about issues such as, but not limited to, HIV/AIDS. And 2, to support traditional values. Welcome again.
Thanks.
So first I'd like to ask you, you're a certified leader and life practice teacher, and I'd like you to elaborate a little bit about what that entails, but before you do that, we have a clip with the Interplay, and we have a video that we'd like to show, and then you can talk a little bit about the video and about your role.
All right.
Already you have said yes. That song that we sang coming in, ah, yeah, 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 ah, yeah, 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 is a big saying yes.
Interplay is an active, creative approach to unlocking the wisdom of the body. a form-based folk art connecting people through dancing, singing, storytelling, and stillness.
Interplay is used for all generations, both together and apart. It's used in high schools and elementary schools, and it's used in colleges, and it's used in hospitals, and it's used for peacemaking. We think people, when they play together, are actually learn how to be nicer to each other.
It brings together multiple generations in play shops and performance venues.
Very tall.
Helps people to discover tools for peacemaking and handling stress.
I've lived in Pittsburgh since 1967, and it's my home. I love it.
Interplay is dedicated to the idea that we can play all our lives.
I just had a great meal today. Oh, it was so good and my tummy felt so good. I had peas and beans and applesauce.
There are children starving in China.
It's not fun to feed picky kids.
My mother was a terrible cook.
Interplay enables people to dance their prayers.
We give respect to all those who have gone before. This is a song that needs no introduction. It's a rhythm that is in our bones and flows in our blood.
Interplay helps people share and celebrate their cultural heritages.
All right. It reminds me a little bit of yoga, meditation. So what do you have to do to become a certified leader?
Well, you have to do Interplay. You have to go to programs like what you saw on the screen. I started out in 2006. In fact, that was Musanku Banda, who was from Malawi, who's been going around the country doing Interplay for years, using music, movement, storytelling to get to the wisdom of the body in fun and creative ways. And from the day one, I felt that that was something that I really loved to do because I wanted to do more storytelling. I wanted to do more movement in my storytelling because I am a storyteller. It's just like the opportunity opened up for me, and I had the opportunity to become a certified leader, to be able to teach the Interplay movements and forms to other people, people of all ages, all abilities. There's an African proverb that says, if you can walk, you can dance. If you can talk, you can sing. So it's using music, movement, storytelling to get to the wisdom of the body in fun and creative ways. So I decided I wanted to become a certified leader. I've been one since 2010. And that entails having classes, having sessions. We've done Interplay. Interplay can be used under a lot of different circumstances, all ages and all abilities, in schools, in prisons, for embodied worship. And you're right, it's sort of like yoga, because it's like yoga for the mind. It's integrating mind, body, heart, spirit, and soul. And the leaders just use the simple guided activities we call forms. There's like singing forms, movement forms, a combination of singing and movement. There are forms where you're still and where you're contemplating and are quiet. And then there are just times when you just want to feel like you're just one with everything. You know, it is really, I mean, the seniors that have done Interplay with me, they still talk about Interplay. They come. I have one lady who, when are you going to do that Interplay thing again?
Because it can feel like they're playing without being, you know,
Yes,
ridiculed.
Yeah, we can say you can get sneaky deep really easily. And the life practice teacher part came, was where life practice program, you immerse yourself into the forms of Interplay over a period of time, where you would learn to do things like use your inner authority, talk about body data, body wisdom, body knowledge, to incorporate how you incorporate and bring together mind, body, heart, and spirit in fun in different and creative ways. And so the life practice lets you do that over a period of time.
Oh, okay. And you're having 2 events. We have a flyer here, the yellow flyer that we'd like to show, and you can talk a little bit about the 2 events that you're going to have at Homewood Library. If we can show that flyer, the yellow one, for Interplay.
Well, that's, we call them play shops, and they're community sessions where everybody is welcome. On the second Saturday of May 19th and June 16th, I need my glasses to read it, at the Homewood Library, where we're inviting everybody to come, kids, families, seniors, to come and just spend a couple of hours in fun and relaxing ways using movement, story, voice, and stillness. Interplay is community building, it's healing, it's bringing people together, it's getting you to get sort of like deep things that you, in talking about simple things, you learn more about yourself and how to be in the world through Interplay. We say it can be life-changing, and Interplay is like in 50 cities. It's practically in every continent of the world. And we have leaders trainings, and we have different programs, and in different cities they have different things that people concentrate on, sort of like things around social change, social issues, things around the environment, things around how you can integrate Interplay into academics.
Okay.
So it is very versatile.
Yeah, this is the first time hearing that term, Interplay.
Interplay.
But it sounds interesting.
So
Sounds like something I might be able to do.
Right. Well, yes. We have Interplay, people of the chairs. I mean, you know, if you can't move, sit, you know, but there's something for everybody in Interplay.
Nice.
And it's healing too. And I would like to say that, I would just, you know, before we move on, that in the practices of Interplay, it's like our indigenous birthrights. You want to be able to have someone to listen to you. You want to be able to tell your story. You want to be affirmed. You want to be noticed. You want to be touched. You want to be hugged. And those are our birthright practices. And Interplay integrates all of that into our practices and forms.
Okay. For those in our viewing audience who are just tuning in, our special guest this evening is Toni McClendon, who is a longtime peace and social activist. Toni, you were saying in your bio that you're a cultural activist. What exactly is a cultural activist?
Well, how I got started out in terms of culture, culture is like what we do in our daily lives, everything that we do. I call myself a cultural activist because when I was working at the Delores House Treatment Center it's a drug treatment center for women and girls with the Afrocentric modality, we said that we want to talk about our culture as African Americans. I became a storyteller. So culture is everything that we do. And the activist is, I'm active in so many different things. And it's all about elaborating on the culture or bringing the culture or doing Sankofa, even as simple as going back and bringing things from the past forward in our daily lives. So when I say I'm a cultural activist, I'm just a person who's in the world doing these things for the culture.
Great. Okay.
And it may be a made-up word, but you know.
That's okay. Sorry to make up words. We also know that you founded the Rainbow Village Connection. Can you tell our viewing audience a little bit more about the Rainbow Village Connection and what it is and why you decided to create that.
Well, I've been doing storytelling for a very long time. I have been doing piece work for a very long time. I've been out there in the community working with people of all ages, women, girls, and Rainbow Village is like all of us. And one of the things I say is I want to build bridges to understanding. And Rainbow Village is just like we're all in a village, everybody comes together. And I want to make those connections through storytelling, through doing Interplay, through putting on other kinds of programs. So Rainbow Village Connections is just me.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Now, Saturday Children's Program at the Legacy Arts Project. Can you tell the viewing audience how children can be involved, and is it just for children or is it for everybody?
This particular program, the Saturday program for children at Legacy Arts Project happens every Saturday. I'm there every other Saturday bringing Interplay and storytelling and playing games with the kids. Literacy development, personal, how you build better relationships with each other, social, emotional relationships through fun and creative ways. And the Legacy Arts Project is based in African dance and African culture. So that goes back to the cultural activist part. And it is located in Point Breeze on Penn Avenue. And the days that I'm going to be there is every other Saturday from 12 to 3. And children learn all about their culture and how to get along together. If you want to bring your children, you can call 412-452-3847. That's the Legacy Arts Project phone number. Erin Perry is the director of Legacy Arts. And they do things like Keepers of the Flame, the African dance, to keep African dance and culture alive. And in addition to doing Interplay on Saturdays with the children, I also do Interplay the first Wednesday of every month at a Legacy Arts Project at 7501 Penn Avenue. I do with adults. And our May 2nd, June 6th, July 4th, and August 1st are the first Wednesdays of the month. So it's like coming together. I call it Interplay is sort of like play with a twist, which is and it is getting to the wisdom of the body, and adults need to suspend to be so serious all the time. But we all have children within, and we want to bring that out. But we also want to make those healing connections. And we as African Americans, I mean, we have so much trauma that we are dealing with. And this will just be a way of getting in touch with and maybe getting some of that trauma up and out of you in fun and creative ways.
And what time on Wednesdays?
It's from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Yes.
And talking about family practices, we don't want to lose the African American oral tradition. And so I hear that you perform your storytelling on Uma's porch. Can you explain what Uma's porch is?
Well, I'm a grandmother, and my grandmother's name is Uma, which means the important one, the great one, the important one. So my granddaughter, who loves Interplay, her name is Imani. I came up with the idea of telling from Uma's porch is because I use Uma as a character in some of my stories. And you know how you just imagine sitting on the porch swing and listening to your grandmother or your grandfather telling you stories. So that's the concept behind Uma's porch. And Uma's porch is part of the Rainbow Village. There's always that one house in a community as children that you gravitated toward. And so that's where I came up with the idea of calling my storytelling from Uma's porch.
Oh, okay. So you would be considered a griot,
Well,
right?
The technical term, I guess, for a griot was originally for the king and for the Holy Family that could for the royal family that would tell the storyline, that would tell all the stories, and would keep the stories alive. And so, yes, in a sense, I am a griot. And another term for that is gele.
Gele.
Jele.
Oh, okay. They haven't heard that term.
And yes, to keep those stories alive, and because we're so used to doing things, going to the movies, watching things on TV, and no one. There are a lot of storytellers around, but we need to keep that oral tradition alive. Is because we came from oral traditions. We always told stories, and we need to continue to do that.
Do you also write them down, though, or you just keep it oral?
Well, this is what I do. I may read a story and say, oh, I'll be able to tell a story. And with Interplay, learning the improv and being in the moment, I will make up the story or theme. I have told a couple of stories around Anansi the spider. Anansi the spider is a trickster. And so I've made up a couple of stories about Anansi and the spider and Uma in Uma's porch. And so my stories are not just about, African stories, African American stories, but they're human stories.
Okay. Okay. Now you also perform with Abba Fosse. Am I saying it right? Abba
Yes.
Fosse?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, what does that mean, and how long have you been performing with them?
But Abba Fosse means many women. It's a South African word. I don't know how long I've been performing with them. I found about 2009, 2010. I started doing Interplay a little bit earlier than that, but I've always been with poetry, storytelling. I used to remember Harambe back in the day with I'm blanking on the name of the Writers Project, but we told stories and did poems. And Abba Fosse came out of, Kelly Parker is the founder of Abba Fosse. And as it says, it's many women. It's women drumming because West African, there are people who say that women should not be drumming because drumming is, some African American people say women should not be drumming. There are some who say that's only for men, that women they should not be putting their hands on the drum. But djembe is sort of like, the word is spelled DJEMBE, DJ. It's like the first DJ where you make music, with your hands. And so we do drumming, poetry, storytelling out of our collective experience, and we perform around places here in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And it's just the drums, not the steel drums, or do you do both?
No, we don't do steel drums. We have the dunes, the ones that are played with the sticks, and we have the djembes, which are the West African drums. I do percussion, the shakerays, and we have all different bells, and so we incorporate the music. We have different West African rhythms that we're learning. So it's,
Okay. We do have a caller. Can you say your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, this is Jim from the East End.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. And I was just wondering, is there an age restriction for becoming a member of Interplay?
No, there is no age restriction at all. Interplay is for all ages and people of all abilities and people from all over everywhere. Interplay. I remember doing Interplay at a community day group. And I was doing a thing called a jester choir, where somebody's doing a movement, telling a story with big body movements, and the people behind you are doing the exact same thing that you're doing. And there was this guy there that he said he absolutely loved Interplay. And so Interplay is for anybody. If you want to have a fun and relaxing day or a couple of hours, I urge you to come to Interplay. In Homewood, we're having on Saturday, the second Saturday of May, come on out to Homewood Library at 10:30 in the morning and come and hang out with us, and you'll see what Interplay is all about.
Are you interested?
Yes, I'm enjoying your show, and I'm really enjoying your guest. And I was just wondering if she could tell a story before she leaves the show.
Oh, okay. You mean just make one up, huh? Okay, that sounds good. What do you think?
Also, I believe the three of you should perform one of the dances that you showed earlier.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'd have to do mine sitting down, but that, Alecia, you
No,
willing?
thank you. Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Maybe Lois will.
And that was an Interplay clip. That was all about, that was a special program where we had several different groups come to town with Masanko Banda, who is from Malawi, and he taught us the dances. We do programs like that around the country. We need to do that here in Pittsburgh again. But come on out to Homewood Library. If you have kids, bring your kids. You know, some senior citizens, I know several women who love Interplay. And you don't have to have a lot of mobility. And you don't have to know how to really, really dance. And you don't have to know how to really, really sing. It's just like opening up your heart, mind, body, and soul to just having fun.
And the events you're having, are they going to be free?
Yes, it's free.
I see. And just before I get off the phone, I saw something on your program I don't think I've ever seen. I saw a white female playing, it looked like African drums. I thought that was rather unique.
And actually that is really not that unique at all. There are plenty of women drummers all over everywhere, white, black, where there are women drummers. So that's maybe uncommon, but it's very, for you to have not seen that, but that is very common.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but there are some people who say that only Africans should, or African Americans should be drumming, but every culture in the world has a drumming culture.
Thank you very much for calling. Oh, another organization you founded is the New Voices of Pittsburgh, Women of Color for Reproductive Justice. And before we talk about what impact that organization has on our community, we do have a video. So can we show the video about the New Voices?
Ways that New Voices Pittsburgh impacts the community is that this is an organization that deals with policy and policy issues. That's something that really hadn't happened in the community as far as working around women's justice as it relates to women of color and black women. New Voices Pittsburgh is it.
New Voices Pittsburgh matters because black lives still matter. In this region of Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas where there's still so much homophobia and bigotry and hatred, there needs to be organizations that still stand up for justice, not just for anybody, but for people that nobody else is standing up for, African American women and women of color.
Pittsburgh needs New Voices Pittsburgh because this is what is going to change people's lives. When women of color have leadership positions and are loved and respected, and there's gratitude for the work of women of color and the experiences that they've had, everybody benefits.
Yes, there are many times New Voices Pittsburgh did not have the financial support or resources to do our work. There are many times that staff members have sacrificed or board members have sacrificed personally to advance the work of New Voices Pittsburgh. But now, after 10 years, I'm proud to say we made it. And for that, we can say for all the things that we were fearful of, now there's so much more we can be proud of.
We want to create a movement that supports women interrogating these external systems, but also provides spaces for them to create the alternative realities that they want. I'm excited about really having that movement building work that we've been doing become so visible, so palpable that people can't resist but thinking about, okay, what does it mean for me to be well?
Organization has evolved from an idea, a thought, a strong belief, a group of people coming together who strongly believed in the mission of New Voices Pittsburgh, to this incredible organization that has spread beyond Pittsburgh, beyond Pennsylvania, has national recognition, where we find our founder and other members of the board at the White House and at the table where policy and decisions are made.
They called me the Grand Dame because I was one of the founding members and one of the women in the of the old guard, so to speak, who is continuing to march with them and to walk with them every step of the way. So I feel extremely proud, but I'm also feeling that these young women, that I am standing on their shoulders and that they are my mentors because they have helped me to see things in a new light.
I want the community to be able to say that New Voices Pittsburgh made a difference, that New Voices stood for something, that it was a bedrock in the community, that people could trust what was coming forth from New Voices, and that it was on a cutting edge of making a difference and creating equality and justice in our communities.
The New Voices journey is far from complete. In many ways, it has only just begun.
The future of New Voices Pittsburgh is very bright. It might not even be called New Voices Pittsburgh in the next few years because of the ways that our work is growing across multiple states. What I want the future of New Voices Pittsburgh to be is the source of support, advocacy, leadership, activism, organizing for women of color and Black women and girls.
What I want for future generations to say about our New Voices Pittsburgh is that this was an organization that made me want to become a better woman, that made me want to be involved with what is happening in my community.
We who are doing social justice work all across the world, we're passionate about it, we love it, but we're fighting oppression. We're fighting really challenging things, and so we want to celebrate our culture, we want to grow our culture, we want to pass that down, but we want to work ourselves out of a job.
Yesterday, today, and in the days ahead, the mission remains clear.
New Voices Pittsburgh stands for all marginalized communities, stands for women of color across colors, for Black women and girls, for LGBTQ people, for incarcerated women and trans women. We stand for young women. We stand for anyone who believes in human rights. We stand for anyone who's resisting reproductive oppression. And what we would want all of them to say about New Voices Pittsburgh is that New Voices Pittsburgh represents me.
I want to be beautiful, and when a stranger sees me, I want to be beautiful.
Nice, nice. Now you said the person who founded that organization was only 18 when she did it?
When she did it, yeah. We're 14 years old now. And New Voices has grown, just as Latasha Mays, who said she was the young woman that was speaking about growing Pittsburgh. We now have New Voices Pittsburgh, New Voices Philadelphia, and New Voices Cleveland. And we've grown. We are getting ready to move into new spaces. When I was asked to help the young women organize a march to Washington, D.C., one of the March for Women's Lives, there were Black people in Pittsburgh who were saying, oh, we don't want to go, we don't want to be involved with that because, Planned Parenthood is going to be involved with it. And Planned Parenthood was all about genocide, which is really not true. But New Voices Pittsburgh for Reproductive Justice, marries reproductive rights, health rights, environmental justice, and human rights. It brings that all together and saying that anything that affects one woman affects all women, and that we are about the justice for all women and girls, the right to have a child, the right not to have a child, the right to bring a child into the world that in safety, in health, and in abundance, and for the well-being of Black women and girls. And the video spoke very well about the kinds of things that New Voices does. Policy issues, one of the things that we're working around now is trying to get bills passed that go beyond access to safe abortion, but access to health care, comprehensive health care across the board. Mm-hmm. We also speak up for women who are incarcerated, LGBTQ women, whatever happens to women that are, if we build up people who are the most marginalized, we build up everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's what New Voices is basically founded on from the way that I see it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And we do have another caller. Caller, can you say your name and where you're calling from, please?
Yes, my name is Mark.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. I'm just calling. I'm enjoying the show. A lot of good information, but I did miss a little bit of the beginning, and I did have a question about something that your guest said about Planned Parenthood. But when is the next show you all said you all do plays around the city?
You're talking about Interplay? The Interplay is the term Interplay is sort of like integrating mind, body, and spirit, and play and contemplation and revelation in order to discover the wisdom of your body. And we have various sessions. They're not actually programs where you sit and you watch somebody perform, although we do that through Wing and the Prayer. It's highly interactive, and anyone is welcome to come to Interplay. And it's the kind of thing that, I can sit here and talk about it all day, but you could have to come and see. So I invite you, if you really want to find out more about Interplay, come to the Homewood Library the second Saturday.
Okay. What
10:30. Pardon me?
What time did you say?
10:30, from 10:30 to about 12.
Okay. Now, I do have, if there's special needs, do you work with special needs as well, or would it be too advanced for a child that's maybe special needs?
Well, we have people from all over and from all kinds of abilities. I'm not just speaking about here in Pittsburgh, but it's worldwide. And yes, and you come and you go at the speed of your body and what you're able to do. And it may be something that you just never know until you expose a child to something, whether it'll be helpful or not. But 9 times out of 10, because it is so, we do things incrementally, which means like in small steps. And we're at least me, very kind and very patient with kids. So it's worth just to come and see, and to see if it's something that the young person, if you're speaking of a young person, just to see how they may react. I wouldn't say, don't bring anybody but as we say, all abilities, then we go at the speed of the body. And so however a person is able to participate and to what extent that they can, we welcome that.
Okay, that sounds great. I just wanted to make sure it wouldn't be too advanced and they would be able to work with the child. Also, you mentioned something about Planned Parenthood. I have to disagree. I do believe just because of the founder and the things that it was based upon, it was about genocide, in particular blacks. So I definitely have a problem with Planned Parenthood, and I think it was designed to decrease the black population. And in fact, the founder said that was one of her reasons. So, but everything else you said, I definitely agree with.
Okay,
Planned Parenthood, I'm not a fan of it.
Okay, I just want to say that in terms of Planned Parenthood has gone far beyond Margaret Sanger, and that whole eugenics movement was a plan to get rid of a whole lot of people in this country, not just women. So I say that
she specifically said blacks.
Yes, specific, but also. But as I've said, like that was way in the past, and now New Voices Pittsburgh, and we may not ideologically agree on a lot of things, but the one thing that we do agree on is that women's health is paramount, and what Planned Parenthood does is more about, a lot of women get their comprehensive health care through Planned Parenthood. New Voices Pittsburgh is saying that everybody has the right to health care, even the right, if a person so chooses, to have an abortion or not to have an abortion. But we need to go really beyond that to make certain that all of our needs are taken care of comprehensively. And that is from the womb to the tomb, if we want to put it simply.
Okay, well, I understand your point, and we can agree to disagree. I like everything you did, except for, the Planned Parenthood. I'm just not a big fan of abortion, and especially Planned Parenthood. But thank you for the information, and I will check you out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Have a good day.
Yes, bye.
Okay, we do have 2 more callers. First caller, please say your name and where you're calling from.
Mark from the north side.
Another Mark, all right. How are
And
you?
I just wanted to say it's a great show, very informative. I would have to agree with the previous caller concerning Planned Parenthood. There's no way to disguise or mask their history or their agenda. They've been very sophisticated in the way that they're approaching things now and just couching it in a different phrase to get access. And I fought many battles on the school board on how they would disguise themselves to get access into the schools and to push the Black genocide program. So we can agree to disagree, but I do agree with the previous caller. But I wanted to just say, I've watched the show the last 20 minutes. I just want to say that I don't know how you can handle your messaging, or some kind of way if you can make it clear that Black men are not your enemies. We are supportive. We work with you because it really concerns me sometimes. Most of these groups, they're focusing on just women's health. Well, we fight for women's health. We support you. But then when you see the movement in the streets or being reported on, the message shifts and it becomes a gay movement or save the world or save the environment or whatever. My focus is on Black people. And I'm single, laser beam focused because I think a lot of the other things are somehow somewhat divisive. Nobody undergoes the conditions that we continue to go through. And so that is my priority. My quick question, and I'll say this quickly and then let your other calls through. I'm going to say about a year or so, and might even still be going on, there was an organization, I didn't know who it was, but there was a campaign. It was a billboard, it was a bus stop sign campaign that pushed these beautiful pictures, and they were posters, like a mother, and she was with a child, and somewhere the caption read that, and it appears that this woman the girl might have been coming out as being different or lesbian or whatever. But the comment on the poster suggested that, the mother's love, or you got to accept the acceptance of it or whatever. And these things were all over the city. It was so disturbing to me because who said that Black people don't love their children and don't embrace their children and aren't accepting of their children? I mean, and they both featured local people here. And I just said that message is very dangerous because if you continue to plaster that, you would think that only other people can love and embrace our children, even if they're having issues with sexuality. And so I don't know what organization that was, but they focused on women again. And I just wanted to say publicly, I am, of course, a man. We love Black women. We support Black women. We have been in the struggle with and for Black women, and some of us will not allow divisive organizations to split us up from you all. And so I just wanted to say that I don't know if you know who was pushing that campaign. I used to see them on the bus stops, and I would just shake my head, because if you didn't know any better, you would think that a mother would not embrace or love their child, or these parents don't love, these parents don't accept, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. I'll hang up and listen to your call. And I also would like to put my vote in for, I think, 3 callers back, for the 3 of you to do a story, and you're supposed to do a dance or something.
We'll go with the story.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, yes, we, as Black people, we cannot afford to be divisive about men and women and who's doing that and whatever. In terms of, that's a struggle. It's a struggle for our lives every single day. There are men who are involved with New Voices Pittsburgh. So we're not one of those organizations that say, oh, no, men can't be involved, because whatever affects one of us affects all of us. And as far as those billboards and those things, those are pro-life, alt-right people, and a lot of them may be coming from evangelical organizations that really want to talk about destroying where you seem to destroying the values and the saying that we don't have the values that other people have, and that's just that right wing, alt-right denigration of anything that is not white.
Yes.
And so, and that's very divisive, and it is frightening. I know there was a billboard that said the most dangerous place for a Black child was in a Black woman's womb. That was billboards that were in other cities, and there were organizations around New Voices and Sister Song and other organizations who talking about trusting Black women to speak for themselves is to shut it down, and they took those billboards down.
Good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, but the ones that I'm talking about, I don't believe they were from any women's organization. Or any of the organizations you mentioned. These were other local organizations that continue to push the alternative agenda into our community. And it was just offensive. I just don't know any other way of saying it. We love our children regardless of their shortcomings, and we love them from the womb to the tomb, as you said before. And so to just have that stuff, and it seemed like they were all in Black neighborhoods. And that was something that is just, everybody picks up on that. But that kind of thing and pushing one particular lifestyle or alternative lifestyle, for me, is hurtful and divisive for our community. So I'll hang up and let your other calls speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling. Have a good day. Thank you. Okay, we have another caller. Caller, please say your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Diamond, and I'm calling from. So sorry, can you hear an echo?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I apologize. I was calling. I think the other caller did answer my question. I was wondering if you are international New Voices. Are you all international?
Are you international? Are you saying international?
New Voices is part of national collective of various women's organizations. But there are organizations like New Voices, maybe not called New Voices, around the world. But we are nationally affiliated with organizations that probably have international affiliations. But New Voices Pittsburgh is in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and in Ohio right now. But we do have national ties to other women's organizations around all sorts of issues. Sister Song Collective was our mother organization, so to speak, and that was for reproductive justice for Asian women, Latino women, African American women, and women from around the world.
Wonderful. Okay, well, that's good. So my other question is, I heard you say every second Saturday you're going to meet, I think it was called Interplay.
Yes, Interplay. Yes, that's.
Do you also have a wailing session, a session where people can just either let the vibration and sound out either joy or grief?
You were kind of breaking up. I just heard you say joy or grief, and that's we work around different kinds of issues. I mean, mainly it's whatever comes up in the session. We have guided sessions, and yes, we're not like therapists, but all the therapists have used the interplay techniques and the interplay forms in the work that they do. For what we do is building community, and it's I would say it's general and generic, but a lot of different things may come up out of the sessions that we do.
Great. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And continued success to the National Council of Negro Women.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
And to your organization, New Voices. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you. And you have a good day. Okay. Looks like we have another caller. Can you say your name?
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Oh, that was an echo. All right. Is there another caller on? I'm not sure. It might have been that echo.
Yes, that's probably me.
Oh.
This is Janine Hood, and you ladies look wonderful, and just want to thank you for presenting just such quality programming, and I really appreciate it. So I'm just calling in to thank you.
Well, thank you so much for calling. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
That sounded like Chris Moore.
Oh, really? No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yes. It sounded like Chris Moore a little bit. I was like,
thank you.
Just on his show.
Okay. Again, our guest has been Toni McClendon this evening, who is a cultural activist and community educator. She's also founder of Rainbow Village Connections. Our next question for you, Toni, is we understand you're a member of the United Black Clubs of Pittsburgh. Can you tell us a little bit how technology and the internet affect people who are actually reading books?
Well, like you can go to the library and download books or to the library. But the United Black Book Clubs is about bringing people together to talk about books and to bring literary programs. And but we do know that technology and internet does affect people actually reading books. But there's always going to be a library. Okay. There's always going to be bookstores. You may buy your books online, but and you may listen to books on tape, but people will. I think books are not going. I'm not going out anywhere.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So when you do meet, do they bring their Kindles or do they actually bring books?
Actually, the United Black Book Clubs is made up of members of book clubs, individuals, and librarians and other people who are interested in celebrating literacy and to bring literacy and to make certain that literacy, especially in the African American community, is kept alive. And so we do programming around the year. We just had one on Friday that this is Jazz Month and Poetry Month. And we had a wonderful program last Friday at the Homewood Library where Paul Robeson, Jill Scott Heron, and Billie Holiday. Their birthdays were in April, so we played their music. We talked about books that had been written by them, and people had a wonderful evening. Every May we do celebration of reading, and this year we're going to have a luncheon where we will have different authors will come and talk about their books, and we have workshops around literacy. In February, we do the African American Read-In. We had, this year was like one of the largest we ever had. We had men bringing their children coming to read at the African American Read-In. So we do different things, try to do things once a month around literacy and literacy development and to celebrate reading in our community. One of the things we also do in May is we have men reading to children. It's around the week before Mother's Day. We have Wednesday, men come to the library and read to children. On that Thursday, we'll show a film for Westinghouse students and a couple other schools, and they will have a film, a discussion around the film, and then and we're going to be doing reading for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. So I'm saying that the United Black Book Clubs tries to do something at least 9 months out of the year.
Wow. Great. Oh, you know, our third vice president, Ariana Brazier, she regularly attends the Youth Undoing Institutional Racism, but what I wanted to say before I ask you about that, she has a book. She started a book club with our organization. So every month she sends us information and different things that we can read that relate to our community. And I think that maybe somehow it can be connected with the...
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. But she is involved in Youth Undoing Institutional Racism. And your organization, the American Friends Service Program Committee for Western Pennsylvania, supports this group. And I was wondering if you can elaborate a little bit on that connection.
Well,
I know we only have a few minutes, but...
The American Friends Service Committee, for lack of the Friends, the Quakers.
Oh.
And so it's all about like peace and peacekeeping. And so they have a program committee which is made up of members who are friends, but also other people in the community. So I'm one of the program committee members just to oversee the Youth Undoing Institutionalized Racism. And that's a weekend training around, as is the Undoing Institutionalized Racism, which was, the whole training was started by the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, which came out of like the civil rights movement down in New Orleans. And they've been doing workshops all over the country. And the American Friends Service Committee here does the Youth Undoing Institutionalized Racism, specifically for young people, to talk about racism. And I would urge everybody to at least try to find the Undoing Institutionalized Racism program to help you understand the roots of racism in this country. I think right now, specifically for young people, teenagers, early college kids to come together to learn all about racism. But there's also, while you are our group that meets on a continuing basis of teens that do work around issues of peace and justice and nonviolence.
All right, well, thank you. We only have 2 minutes left. Did you want to talk any more about your programs that are coming up, the Interplay that's coming up, June and May? If you can show that flyer again.
Right, and I do want to backtrack. As far as the Legacy Arts Project, there is a cost.
Okay, we can't say the exact cost.
But there is a cost. But if you call 412-452-3847, but that's not affiliated with what's on the screen. As far as Legacy Arts Project, for the children's program at Legacy Arts is free. They're having a summer program, and that's but you have to call them to find out more about that.
Okay.
But as far as Interplay is concerned, I mean, we're holding them at the library right now, the Interplay sessions, and they are free, but donations are always welcomed.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate all the information that you've given us, so many things that we hadn't heard before, and we hope you come again because I know you're always active and involved in so many things, so I'm sure there'll be something else coming up that you can tell us about.
Let's tell this story real quick.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you were going to tell a story. Okay.
All right. A 3-sentence story.
Okay,
just give me a word.
Interplay?
A word other than Interplay. Just give me a word.
Interplay.
Yeah, anything. Just
How
anything.
about black?
Black, okay. Well, you know I love to wear the color black. And most of my clothes in my closet are black, but every once in a while, I will pull out something red because red goes with black very well. And black is the color of, every color is in black, so black goes well with all kinds of things. But the best black is black skin.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And we hope to see everybody next time. Thank you for watching and tuning in.